Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Joe Salemi. I'm the Product Marketing Manager with DynaSCAPE Software. I just want to say thank you to everyone that's joined us today to take the time out of your day leading up just before the spring rush starts. In some spots in the country, spring has started. And so thank you for taking the time out of your day to join me in talking about how to choose the right software to manage your process. And, we'll take it from a workflow perspective and just talk about some different tools and ways that you can narrow down all the solutions that are out there. Because there's a lot of different software solutions out there to help you with either your design process or estimating, keeping track of time and labor and materials and all your different costs associated with completing the project. So we're going to go through a number of tools and follow that all the way through. We're going to take about an hour to do that. But just before we get started, I just want to let everybody know, in case you haven't participated in a GoToWebinar session, I will handle all the questions at the end. So please stick around if you have any questions. There is a questions box down in your control panel. Please type your questions in there, and I'll try and get to as many as possible at the end. We'll save some time at the end of the webinar for some questions. Great, and so I am recording this webinar as well, and we will post it to the DynaSCAPE website. Everyone that registered will be sent out the link shortly after we go off the air this afternoon. So again, thank you for joining us, and let's get started. So we're going to be talking about how to get the right software for you. And so that being said, not all software is created equally, right? So there's a lot of things that you got to take into consideration. There's a number of criteria that that you should be looking at, and you're going to have to do some homework and do your due diligence. It's definitely an investment, not something that a lot of people take lightly. So, we're here to help, and, hopefully by the end of this webinar, you'll have the right tools in place to be able to ask the right questions and be able to narrow down the right field so that you can pick the right software for you. So first, a little bit about DynaSCAPE, who we are as a company. So we've been a custom development shop since the early 80s, and DynaSCAPE came to be around 1998. And back then, we were known as Garden Graphics. More than 10,000 companies use DynaSCAPE. Pretty impressive. The bulk of our client base is in North America, but we do have clients all over the world, in Australia, New Zealand, Singapore, the United Kingdom, Ireland, Spain, and Portugal. So, we are very proud that there are companies, landscape professionals that use DynaSCAPE software all over the world. We're taught in nearly 200 schools in North America. So imagine students in landscape design, landscape horticulture, and landscape architecture programs are learning how to use DynaSCAPE design software, and upon their graduation, for the most part, can hit the ground running. So that's very, very important from a employability standpoint. We are located in Burlington, Ontario. We're a Canadian-based company. We're a small software shop, very boutique software shop in Burlington, Ontario. And for those that aren't familiar with the geography, we're about 45 minutes west of Toronto. All software development, all testing, all of our quality assurance, support, and sales all happen in-house. So we do not contract anything out. Everything that DynaSCAPE does happens in our office. And we're wholly committed to the industry. It's the only market that we serve. We sponsor a number of industry development projects. We are a preferred partner for the Canadian Nursery Landscape Association. We have a great relationship and members of the National Association of Landscape Professionals in the United States. I sit on the board of directors for the Association of Professional Landscape Designers, and we have a number of memberships with state and provincial associations and a number of sponsorships as well. So we are wholly committed to this industry. It's all that we do. Great, so how do we choose the right software? So let's go through some points, and this is essentially our roadmap for the rest of our webinar this afternoon. So we're going to be looking at how to get the big picture, determining a budget, narrowing the playing field, picking the finalists, getting input from other users or clients, making your decision, talking about implementation and training and what's included and what's not, and ideally you get to the final evaluation and make your purchase. So let's talk about getting the big picture, because there are tons of different software solutions out there, whether they're landscape specific or serve all industries. And so one of the first things that you need to do is list the reasons for why you're looking for software. And that is highly, highly important. List the challenges that you're experiencing. So, highly important to talk about some of the barriers that you have, or some of the gaps in your workflow, and how you can make things a little bit quicker. And so you want to list the challenges, list some of the problems you're experiencing. So you got the reasons why you're looking for software, some of the challenges that you're experiencing, and separate them into needs and wants, because it always comes down to what must I have compared to what would be great if I had that. So separate them into needs and wants. Your wants list should be very broad, and you also want to create a feature list. So list all of the things that you want your software to be able to do for you, whether it's design software, estimating, job tracking, software, or accounting software. It lists out the features that you want to have inside the application that you ultimately decide in going with. So think about it in terms of, if I were to build my own software, what would it have in it? And create that list. It doesn't have to be, sitting around with an entire team. Sit around with a couple of people that you're closest with inside your organization, and just come up with a quick feature list. 10 or 15 would be ideal. And next, you got to determine your budget. So, a lot of things come down to what kind of budget can I set forward compared to my cash flow at a given time. So how much, you got to answer the question, how much can you afford to spend? Do the different software applications run the gamut of, low few $100s to tens or even hundreds of thousands of dollars, depending on the complexity or enterprise level solutions that you end up deciding on. Make sure to include inside of your budget hardware and support. So hardware, like, do you need to upgrade your computers, or do you need to spend money on a server infrastructure? And is support included with your purchase of the software? Is that something you have to buy that's extra? So make sure that you have contingencies built into your budget to be able to allow for those things as well. Any kind of recurring costs. So lots and lots of software companies have gone to software as a service, where there's a recurring monthly subscription. Definitely make sure you include that in an annualized way, so that your budget is reflective of that. And IT support. So, when we're talking about support in our previous point, that's more support from the software company itself, and being able to technically support any issues that arise. But what about any kind of IT support? So if there's any hardware related issues that you need to rectify, if you don't have someone on staff that is savvy you're going to have to either outsource that or bring someone in that is savvy with hardware. And, you'll definitely have to consider that as part of your budget. Any sort of implementation cost, so if implementation is not included as part of the rollout of your software, then you definitely want to consider that as part of your budget as well. Then you got to start to narrow your playing field. So, here's some tools to be able to start narrowing out some of the companies that don't fit. First of all, start to eliminate based on the budget that you just developed. That's a real quick way, because at the end of the day, you're limited by time and money, and if there's always a finite amount of money, and with the budget that you set out, if there are solutions that greatly exceed what you've set out as a budget, then obviously those are going to be a little bit out of reach. Narrow them out, so eliminate them from the pile. Eliminate them from based on the lack of features. So that feature list that you created, if the software falls short on that list, pull it out of the pile. It's not going to fit your criteria, and it's not going to serve you well, so pull it out of the pile. Ideally, you'd want to shorten the list to 3 or 4 options. You may start by looking at 7 options or 8 options, maybe even 10, because there's tons out there. Hopefully, when you create your needs and wants list, you create your feature list, and you create a budget, you'll be able to start filtering out some of those options. And that will ideally bring that list down to 3 or 4 major players that you've been able to identify on the marketplace that will ideally suit your needs. And so look at some of these criteria. Is there specialization for your business? Have they thought out the workflow that you are going to encounter on a regular basis? So continuing on with the criteria, so do they have specialization for the size and type of your business? Are you looking at the right software solution that can match the size? So if you're a very small company, does the workflow or some of the feature list anticipate your size and how you would approach certain things versus companies that are much, much larger on an enterprise level and being able to handle a much larger user base inside your organization? So definitely keep that as criteria. Longevity, so in several different ways. So longevity in terms of how long you plan on using the software, how long the software company has been around, and how long the product has been on the marketplace. What is their depth of product line? Do they have lots and lots of products available? Is it just one product that they've spent all their time and resources perfecting and mastering? So definitely some criteria to consider. What is their breadth of support? So how much support do they offer, and what is their expertise level when it comes to being able to support you while using the software? Is it, here's how the software works and any kind of technical pieces around that, or do they fully understand the industry and how it works and apply that to how the software should be operating? So definitely consider that as well. Is the product on the cutting edge? Is it always pushing the boundaries? So definitely consider that as well. Talk about where they plan on going in the future, and how they either plan on integrating or currently integrate with other systems. Not all software will easily talk to other software applications. So definitely ask the question whether or not, and find out whether the software that you're looking at will integrate with other applications. And what kind of user base or client base do they have? Do they have many, many, many clients? And depending on the software company, whether it's a very industry-specific software application, or it's a mass market software like Microsoft Office or Adobe Creative Cloud. Is that something where they have a very large user base where, there's a lot of community support, or do they have a small client base where, it supports exclusively through the software company? So just things to definitely consider. We want to shortlist the semifinalists. So now we've been able to bring that list to 3, 4, 5. Now it's time to get that list even smaller. You got to talk about who offers most on that feature list, So start going through all of those features and start talking about who offers the absolute most in that want list. So you've got the needs and your wants. Start by looking at those companies and software applications that meet all of those features on your want list, and then move to your go from your want list and your need list and make sure that all of those are checked. The companies that continue on get to be on that short list. What product enhancements are planned? So one of the things that is always very interesting to do, and just about anytime you talk to someone at a software company, if you ask about their future product enhancements or what their product plans are, almost always your account manager or sales representative will put you in touch with a product manager and have a quick conversation about what the future plans are, either for the company or for the specific software application that you're looking at. Another question to ask, are you able to buy in early to future plan modules? There can be big savings here because a lot of software companies are always building either new modules or features or enhancements. And one of the things that can often save you some big money is offering to get in early and find out, what it would take to buy in early on into the development and getting early access to some of those modules or features or enhancements. And most often the company will provide access at a very reduced rate. So now you got to pick the finalists. And, this is the time where you got to start looking at where everyone is inside of all of your criteria and all the questions that you're asking. So hopefully you can get this list down to 2 by now after getting to this point and asking those questions, talking to the right people. Does it fit your workflow? So having a sound understanding of your own process will allow you to get through this narrowing of the playing field a lot easier. If you don't have a strong understanding of the workflow that your team has, it's worth a meeting to discuss your own process and have a sound understanding of the things that you do and how you do them, so that you can then either fit that to the software application or find the application that fits your workflow the best. You want to find out if there's a trial that they offer or a live demonstration. There's a big mix between the two where companies will offer a 7-day, 14-day, 30-day, 60-day, 90-day trial where they'll give you access to install or log in and test out the system. And other companies provide a live, either in-person or online demonstration where they talk to you about what you do inside of your business and some of your workflow and how that might fit with the software application that's being demonstrated. And that allows for a lot of dialogue, and the account representative at the time can then show you how that software will fit what you do, or make recommendations on slightly adjusting your workflows to fit what the software does. one of the biggest questions that I get a lot is, what's the learning curve? And so this is something that you have to be very, very aware of leading into and throughout your decision-making process, because a lot of business software, or design software for that matter, is not something where you are going to install or log into right now and start using right away without any sort of previous experience. It's going to be something that you're going to have to ramp up your learning and understanding of how it works, and invest some time and or money into training. So these are some things that you really have to look out for and consider when you're picking your finalists, because it can be all about the amount of time that it's going to take to either pick up or implement the software. It's a really big deal. And again, not all software is created equally, where the learning curve is the same on everything. So definitely ask those questions. Find out from other users or clients of theirs what their experience has been, and what that might be like for you. And then, also asking the question, is implementation and training included in your purchase, or is that something that's going to have to be added as an extra? A lot of software does come with some sort of training or implementation. So you definitely want to find out if it is included or not. If it is, when would it start? And so you just want to ask lots and lots of questions, and understand what's included as part of the price in your initial purchase price, and what's not. And finally, you want to ask what's included in your total purchase. So, I get the software. Perhaps if you're investing in some sort of business software, like a cost-based estimating, job costing system, you want to ask what's included. Of course, you can ask the previous question, is implementation and training included? But what else is included? Is there, if you're using a current software system now, is there a way to convert any sort of data from your current system to bring over to the new system? And so you want to talk about data conversion, any sort of reporting. Is reporting included? If it is, great, what are the reports? If not, what would it take to get the reports that I want, and find out about any custom development work that might have to happen as a result of your purchase. And one of the most important things that you can do when looking at business systems, whether it's for design or for running your design build or your maintenance company, is really to get input from other users. Highly, highly important. The account managers at the software company are going to do a good job and help you understand what's great about the software that they offer. But references, just like you would call for references when hiring staff, you're going to get references from the software company. And, they'll recommend some of their clients to talk to. Definitely talk to them. Call a few of their recommended references, but then ask those references who they might recommend to talk to also. That's a great way to get some additional feedback about what their experience has been like. So, current users are one of your best resources. They know what it's like to use the software day in and day out. In real world business practice and scenario. So they're going to have some of the best understanding of what that software is capable of for what you need to do. But again, also going to be honest with you, their stake in the game is that the software company does well for their continued use and updates and those kinds of things. But they want that user base or that client base to grow. But at the same time, they're going to be honest with you because, not all software is perfect. We all know this. There are bugs that happen here and there. There are little glitches that happen. They're going to know about them, and they'll be able to give you an understanding of what it's like to deal with the software company for reporting those bugs, getting them fixed, and what update schedules look like, and all those kinds of things. So definitely reach out and talk to current users or clients. Ask them what features they wish the software had. So, not every software application will have everything that you could possibly need to do absolutely everything. When developing software, we think about what would the majority of the industry use and how would they use it. And there's always outlying cases that, might be cause for creating scenarios that the software just wasn't designed for that. So, ask what features that those current clients wish that the software had. And then you're going to ask what features they deem most beneficial. So what are the most important reasons or features that those current clients recommend or use, and why would they deem them the most beneficial? And you'll be able to really get a good understanding of what are some of the great reasons that so many companies use that software, and where might some of the gaps be. It's getting closer to make that decision now, and you want to be comfortable with the product and the vendor. So by now you should have had a solid demonstration, either a trial or a live in-person or online demonstration with one of the sales representatives, account managers from the software vendor. You'll want to have lots of conversation. If you're going to be spending thousands of dollars on a piece of software, you want to have some good conversation. And, it's as much understanding the product as it is understanding the company. And if it's a great company that you're talking to, then they're going to have a great product. It almost goes hand in hand. Again, not always, because not all software is created equally, but if you're dealing with good people, generally they're going to have a good product. So definitely be comfortable with the product and the vendor. Create a relationship that you're happy with. If you don't feel right, tell them that you don't feel right and what it might take to correct it. And if it's just not right, then that they shouldn't be part of your short list. And one of the biggest things is trust your gut. You always get this intuition and how you feel about the decision that you're about to make. Always trust your gut. If something doesn't feel right, there's probably a reason for it, and might be worth doing a little bit more digging. But definitely trust your gut. You got to be comfortable with your decision at the end of the day. Most software shops will honor a period of time where, if for whatever reason, you've got some buyer's remorse or the product just doesn't fit with you, then most cases they'll just reverse the transaction, and you both can be on your way. But you got to be comfortable with the decision, and a lot of that means that you have to feel comfortable with the product, the price that it's being offered at, what's included or not included, and with the company that is providing that software product to you. Then it's time to contact your sales rep or your account manager and work out the final price. Not every software company negotiates, so it's something that you gotta take a feel for. But a good percentage of industry-specific software companies will have discounts if you're a member of either state or provincial or national trade associations. So consider that make sure that you ask if you are a member. Definitely ask them and find out if there is a discount, because most often there is. Now, you made your purchase. It's time to start looking at what was included or purchased for implementation and training. So definitely be mindful about getting a meeting to set those expectations and deliverables. It's very, very important from the outset to have expectations set on both sides. So as a client, what should you be expecting to happen as a result of your implementation and training, and what are some of the deadlines and deliverables that need to be met? And from the software company's point of view, also need to manage your expectations as a new client to say, okay, yes, we're going to be meeting so often, or training is going to be delivered on these dates, or this is the canned or videos that you get for your training. So definitely set a meeting with your account manager or your account representative to have those expectations discussed and understand what the deliverables are. Again, talking about data import or conversion. So if you're using a current system and you're now making a switch over from one system to another, one of the conversations that you want to have early on before making a purchase decision is to understand what, if any, data can be imported or converted over, so that it saves you from either having to re-enter everything or completely starting fresh with a new system, unless that is something that you want to do. Understanding whether your training and implementation is going to be done remotely. So using a system much like this, where it's, go to meeting or go to training, or is it going to be done on site and in person? So that's something that you definitely want to have a conversation about. Sometimes, if it's on site implementation or training, there's additional costs associated with that, like per day fees plus travel and accommodation. So that's really something that you want to look at. And then final evaluation. So you want to evaluate the implementation process. What did that look like, or what does it look like? Are they going to take you through all aspects of the software, or is it just focus on some individual areas? You're going to evaluate the training. So what kind of training am I going to receive, or did I receive, and is it enough? So one of those questions that always has to be on your mind is this going to be enough training? Can I get training from the software company that will get me to a certain point, and then am I going to be on my own for the rest of that, or do I have someone that I can follow up with inside of the company, with the software company, so that if I have questions, I can reach out very quickly? And so just make sure that you have an understanding of what that completely looks like. Is there additional training required, and is it required or not? Is it included or not? And so just make sure you ask a lot of questions about training. Establish the implementation and training timeline. A lot of what happens when implementing, especially an estimating and job tracking system for those companies that do design build or landscape maintenance, where you have lots of maintenance contracts or time and material kind of visits, it's a lot. There is a lot of implementation and training that's required, and it requires both the implementation specialist and the team at your company to agree on certain dates to meet and take care of those implementation sessions and training sessions. You want to be able to develop a plan to migrate away. So if you are using a current system, you want to develop a plan to migrate away from that current system to the new one. A lot of people, and I've seen a lot of organizations, won't go cold turkey. In fact, it will overlap for a short period of time to make sure that they're comfortable in both leaving a system that they use for some time and moving to something that that's very new to them, and that may not be as comfortable. So you definitely want to have a transition period, and some of the most important time to do that is during your off season, so that there's as little impact to the day-to-day during the busiest time of the year. So now that we've understand the process around choosing software and what's right for you, let's talk about what landscape software is right for you. Everyone joining us today is all from some sort of landscape company where you do design work, design build work, install only, landscape maintenance work, some sort of snow removal if you're in colder parts of the country. So let's talk about what landscape software is right and what do you use. So whether it's landscape specific or not, and so one of the things we want to talk about is, do you go with software that is landscape specific or generic? And, I'm always going to recommend that you go with something that's landscape specific. And there's tons of reasons why you should go that way. And some of the biggest are that, there's people in-house in these software companies that serve the landscape market specifically that have based a career on either working inside of or owning a landscape company, or dedicating a career to understanding how landscape companies operate. And so that's something that that is a huge bonus, because now all of a sudden you have someone or a number of resources inside that software company that understand the business that you're in. And so some of the big benefits to choosing landscape specific software in many cases include software for design, estimating, job tracking, job costing, time tracking, and reporting. And so these are some of the biggest needs of software for landscape. There's best-in-class accounting software already. Almost 80% of the landscape industry for small businesses use QuickBooks in some variation, whether it's QuickBooks Desktop or online, and whether or not it's QuickBooks Pro or QuickBooks Contractor for doing the accounting. And why is generic software okay? I'd say when it comes to accounting, it is definitely okay there. Maybe lead management or contact management, marketing automation software, those kinds of things. When you get into design, estimating and job tracking, job costing, time tracking, reporting, that's where landscape-specific software companies shine, because they've invested a significant amount of time and effort into understanding the business that you're in and creating applications that do exactly what you need it to do. So what's right for my process? And so that's a question that you have to think or ask yourself all the time, what's right for me, what I do. So something to manage the budget, project your annual revenues. This is a big one, especially when setting out for the entire year. Being able to project annual revenues inside of an application is huge. Being able to account for overhead. And so here we are talking about landscape-specific estimating software. You want to be able to account for all overhead, from admin expenses to all of the list of what overhead would be considered. Being able to calculate your equipment costs, define your markup and your profit margin. And so these are some very big things to be able to accomplish inside of a piece of landscape software, especially for creating a cost-based estimating application that uses overhead recovery management. And overhead recovery is a very important aspect of making sure that you recovered all of your costs inside of every single project that you do. Managing leads. So there's lots of generic software for managing leads, but some of the things you want to look at to make sure that it includes is, can it link an account that's come in. So, phone calls come into the office, or in a lot of cases now, an inquiry coming from your website or social media will come in requesting an estimate for work. So you want to be able to link that account to any opportunity that they've asked to be quoted on. That'll then link to an estimate and then to a job. And so you want to be able to have those links throughout the software when you're managing a lead, and especially when you're able to link an account to an opportunity and an estimate. You're able to do pipeline a summary management, and that's highly important to be able to project revenues for either a month or a quarter or even the year. You want to be able to follow that account through the entire sales process. It's highly, highly important to be able to follow the account through the process, through that sales process, so that you can understand where every single one of your leads is at. And if you have, whether you have one salesperson or many salespeople, having a system to be able to track highly, highly effective and streamlines a lot of your process. You want to easily identify where in the sales process the lead is, and so that's very important. Any kind of reporting, so how much does each salesperson have in their pipeline, how many leads are there, what kind of projects are there, and that'll help you plan as well moving forward. Ask yourself, does the estimating software that I'm looking at, does it have a robust cost book? And understand that, good job or overhead recovery cost-based estimating software should have a centralized database for all of your labor, materials, plants, equipment, and your subcontractors. And if you're able to have a robust cost book, or what some people call as a pull list, then it makes it a lot easier to put together your estimates. It should be easily updated. Regularly, nurseries will update their pricing for their plants, and paver manufacturers will have new product that you want to be easily update into your cost book. Pricing will change from distributors, so you want to be able to easily update that. Make sure the system can easily update your cost book. Can you create kits, or what QuickBooks calls assemblies? So this is your group of labor and materials and equipment that all go into what is a kit or an assembly, so that all you really need to do is put in either a square footage or other unit of measurement that can quickly calculate an entire process of work being done, like a paver or patio that is 4,000 square feet. And what about doing the design? So here's the must-haves for you when looking at landscape design software. Is it a drafting application? So it should have a CAD engine or computer-aided drafting and design engine inside of it. It should follow the landscape designer's workflow from start to finish. There should be minimal setup time. So if you're looking at landscape design software or design software in general, you want to make sure that there's as little setup needed as possible, so that you can hit the ground running sooner than later. You want to be able to generate great construction documents. You want to be able to have a great presentation, because at the end of the day, you don't get to do the work if you can't sell it. And so having a great presentation is the foundation for all of the other things to happen. And what about creating the estimate? So the software must be based on your costs and budget. So it's got to be your own costs and budget inside of there. You want to make sure that your overhead is being captured, and that it separates your estimate into work areas and or phases. Because, we all know that some of the projects being done, especially large projects, the homeowner's not always able to do the entire project all at once, and they have to break it into phases. Make sure that your estimating software can do that. You want to be able to include general conditions like design fees or commissions for your salespeople, your mobilization time, any kind of challenges for site access, whether or not you need to have a porta potty on site. So those kinds of things. You want to be able to ensure that your estimating software includes the ability to do that. And you know, one of the biggest things is, can you adjust your profit amount and your total price? Those are two keys that you need to be able to adjust. You have to be able to have your estimate flexible enough to adjust here. And of course, you want to be able to have a flexible proposal builder. Now we get into managing the job or the contract. In a maintenance point of view, you know, you're going to have many, many jobs inside of a contract, so you want to be able to manage that as well. You want to easily see the original contract. And, you know, here's something that not all landscape software does, but you want to be able to manage any kind of changes. And so the biggest thing here is when a client requests a change, whether it's as small as a color change for some material, or, you know, as big as, you know, I'd like to either increase the size of that patio from 1,000 to 3,000 square feet, or, you know what, I really think I need to bring the size of the patio down from 5,000 to 3,500 square feet. Okay, well, there's a significant amount of work and price difference that goes into some of those changes. You know, even if you want to substitute out some plants or some trees, there's always, almost always, let me correct that, to say that there's going to be a price adjustment either one way or the other that goes along with it. And instead of just trying to manage all of those in your head, the system to be able to manage your change orders is critical. Ensure that the software that you're looking at has change order management. You want to easily be able to mobilize your crews and set their schedule. You want to be able to compare your estimate against any actuals that come in. So, you know, your crew or crew leader is going to be instrumental in tracking the time and materials that are used, and any time with the equipment and subcontractors. So you want to be able to easily enter that back into the system so you can compare what you've estimated versus what you actually used and spent. You want to track your time and materials. You want to easily be able to capture what your crew is doing. You want to be able to link the data entry to the contract. And you want to account for the crew's entire day. So, you know, using timesheets, you want to definitely be able to do that. You want to account for any non-billable paid or unpaid time. So it's very crucial for the system to be able to handle non-billable time. And you want to be able to summarize the hours that have been worked that day by each of your employees for the purpose of payroll. Having an approval system, you know, a two-step approval system for your timesheets is ideal. You know, that way, you know, someone from the field is entering the time and materials used during the day at a particular job or a visit. And then someone in the office is reviewing that and making sure that it's right before final approval. You know, you want to have solid reporting. You're going to look at sales-based reports, analysis of the estimate. So before it even gets to the customer, you'll be able to see, you know, if everything goes right, what your cost is, your break even, what your profit and markup is, and what your total profit's going to be on that job. You want to look at profitability by the job and by your entire season. You want to be able to see the progress of that job at any given point in time. And you want to be able to have employee reporting and understand employee hours and crew hours and the amount of time that they're spending on projects. Billing, so invoice reports, what's outstanding, what's not, what are aged receivables and what are not. So what makes a good software company? And this is one of the age-old questions that get asked a lot. So how do I know that, you know, and this is a question that gets asked a lot by people that are looking at whether it's like any software from a business perspective, you know, how do I know that they're good? One of the first things is going to be the people. So they got to have good people. their process. So you'll know that it's a good company to deal with if you've been involved and engaged in the process the entire way. The process that the software company uses throughout its sales cycle with you will define what they're going to be like following the sale. So this is essentially their job interview to work for you. You want to make sure that they have a high commitment to quality. They have longevity in the industry and with their product. They have investment in the industry. You know, like I said before, you got to trust your gut. You got to believe in the product, and you got to believe in the company. So that essentially brings us to a point where I'd like to open it up for questions. And I'm just going to check and see inside that question panel. So if you have any questions, start typing them there. And I'm going to see what kind of questions we have in the box here. So we do have some questions about if we were actually going to cover a demonstration of what DynaSCAPE software is. And we will definitely be scheduling some demonstrations where we'll invite you to come and take a look at what some of the great features of what DynaSCAPE does. And but not for this webinar. So it doesn't look like there are any other questions. Before we do go, I will tell you that DynaSCAPE does have a great list of products that we have available specifically for landscape design. So DynaSCAPE Design, this product right here, is our landscape industry-specific CAD software, which has the best presentation on the marketplace with DynaSCAPE Color and Sketch 3D. So Sketch 3D is our integration between DynaSCAPE Design and SketchUp, which gets you into your 3D modeling. So essentially, Sketch 3D is a plugin that saves you some time when you get to SketchUp, and the largest, most comprehensive landscape warehouse of 3D components like plants and trees and shrubs, site furniture, and all those kinds of things. And then, of course, there's Manage 360, which is your mobile cost-based estimating, job tracking, and timekeeping software. And some very big news is that we've just finished writing our module for Manage 360 that allows you to estimate, track, schedule, and route landscape maintenance visits, whether they're contracted or time and material. So that is tremendous news. DynaSCAPE is now positioned in the marketplace where we are the only company that does design, cost-based estimating, job tracking, scheduling, and reporting for design, build, and maintenance in a streamlined way. So that is very big news for us and something that you'll get to see a lot more of. So we do have a couple of questions here that we will be able to answer. Someone asked if we had accounting software. Inside of Manage 360, you're able to do billing, but it does not do full accounting. So that's why we integrate with QuickBooks and have it set up that way. So my name is Joe Salemi. I'm the product marketing manager with DynaSCAPE Software. I can be reached at 1-800-710-1900. My extension is 279. My email address is jsalemi@dynascape.com. Our website is www.dynascape.com. If you have any questions, please reach out. I really appreciate you joining us today. For anyone that wasn't able to join us, you'll be receiving the link to the recording. We'll be posting that on the DynaSCAPE website. Thank you so much, everybody. Thanks for joining us. Really appreciate your time. Take care.